Okay, I just saw you playing out there, and you look real good. Who are you?
Well, you know, I'm Yusuf Kisa. I'm the best footballer Ponce ever seen.
Oh, really? You, you know any of the older players who play here in Point?
Well, I know Warren Archibald, Leroy Dillion.
Stop. You know me?
Hmm?
Boy, I was the best striker, the best forward that this country ever seen.
Oh, Wilfred Kane.
Boy, I'm Steve David, boy. The welcome viewers, this is Axe Television Network, and you're watching Field of Dreams. My name is Steve David, and I'm your host. Today we talk to referees, and I've got two ex-FIFA international referees with me, and let me introduce them before we continue. To my left, I've got Mariri Gonzalez.
Louis Gonzalez.
Mariri, tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Thank you very much. Appreciate being here on the esteemed program. I started refereeing in 1988 in the North Zone under Mr. Osman Downer, one of the best lecturers and presenters we have, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but in the Caribbean and within the region. Thereafter, I continued serving in the North Zone and also at the national level. And in 1994, I was fortunate enough to be considered on the FIFA assistant referee category panel, the FIFA list. Actually, before that, in 1990, in the World Cup in the United States of America, Douglas James, who lives in Belmont, Port of Spain, and also was a teacher at Malik Secondary School. Both of us actually were nominated to the FIFA panel, but Douglas James was considered, and I wasn't considered because I was not A grade as yet. So we have to also recognize the tremendous achievement of Douglas James, who at that time was the first official out of Trinidad and Tobago being appointed for a World Cup, a senior World Cup. And before that, it was the linesman, and for 1990, that bring in the term assistant referee. I got my first international exposure and experience in El Salvador in September of 1994. That was the CONCACAF Under-17 tournament. It was a very challenging, interesting, and productive experience there. Thereafter, I went to numerous other tournaments, including Under-17 World Cup in Egypt, Under-20 World Cup in Canada, also the Under-20 World Cup in New Zealand, the Under-20 World Cup also in Malaysia. I also was, along with Ramesh Ramdan, who presently is the Referees Development Officer in Trinidad and Tobago. We both went to the Senior World Cup in France in 1998. For the general public, at age 45, FIFA has a regulation that you would be required to come off the panel, although that is being considered seriously now to increase the age based on your fitness level and also your level of competency to stay on thereafter. However, at 43 years, I got the opportunity, still active as a FIFA assistant referee, to serve as a FIFA fitness instructor, and then at 44 years, which was in 2004, I was also considered and selected as a FIFA referees instructor. That has afforded me the opportunity to serve as an instructor in numerous tournaments, including the Confederation Cup in Germany. That's one just before the 2006 World Cup, the 2005, the Under-17 World Cup in Peru, the Under-17, the first women's Under-17 World Cup in New Zealand. Also, I've been able to serve as an instructor in Japan on 3 occasions as a referees instructor in what we consider the FIFA Club World Cup Championship. So my experience, my exposure in FIFA has allowed me, in football and in refereeing in particular, to explore all 6 continents throughout the world, because I've been able to move around to different parts, including Thailand and Sri Lanka, Ghana, Australia,
Good.
Argentina, etc., as an instructor.
Well, with all that experience, we're very honored to have you on Field of Dreams, and
Thank
welcome.
you very much.
Yeah. And to my right, the ever popular Neil Brizan. Brizan, let the viewers know a little bit about you.
Well, after good night, viewers.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. After hearing my colleague, Mr. Gonzalez, on his illustrious career, there are very few words I can say. I'm almost forced to stay silent. But I started refereeing in 1994 in the Central Zone through the inspiration of Mr. Errol Forbes, who has been my mentor up to now. I worked my way through the zones, and I started refereeing in the PFL in 1998. I became an international referee in 2002, and I remained there until 2014, and I stayed there 13 years. I have been to 4 Gold Cups, and I haven't been as fortunate as my colleague yet to go to a FIFA competition, but I was appointed to the Under-17 in 2007, but unfortunately, because of the trio system, my ARs were not successful in the fitness test, and we had to return home. Nevertheless, I enjoyed my career tremendously. I retired from the international panel, I said last year. I also retired from local officiating last year as well. So I'm now instructing in my zone, and hopefully I will move up to the other level where I'll be instructing to the elite group of referees in our country. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, welcome, and we're glad to have you. The reason I brought you guys is I wanted to share you guys to the viewers and to the public, because you are the most hated, the most misunderstood set of people in football. And you're all part of the football fraternity, so to speak. And I think the public is going to gain a lot of knowledge of how you think and how you have to follow the rules of football and all of that when you referee a game, and how difficult it is to referee a game. So, having said that, let me throw out. When I go on the field, or footballers go on the field, our objective is to play well, to represent our team well, our community, our country, and to do all the things but to win a game. And whatever we have to do to win the game. What is the objective of a referee when they go out to play?
The main aim of the referee, Steve, is primarily to ensure that he or she, in this case, because we have female referees also, they are there to enforce the laws of the game, to ensure that they facilitate the game. They are actually a servant of the game. They are therefore the specialists on the laws of the game, and that's why it's imperative and necessary that the referee knows the laws of the game inside out. Why? Simply because in a court, for example, a judge, magistrate, jury have a number of days to make a decision or arrive at a decision, as the case might be, sometimes weeks, months. However, a referee in this case, as unenviable as his position is, he has to make that decision on the spur of the moment. Now, to make the decision on the spur of the moment, it means that you definitely have to be very accurate and competent with the laws of the game. For example, there's a part in the assessment form where referees are being assessed. And one of the areas in which they are being assessed, as a matter of fact, the first part on the form in the assessment of the referees is interpretation and application of the laws of the game. Primarily because you are going to be there, whether in the middle as a referee, or as an assistant referee, or even as a fourth official. You will have, at some given time during that 90-minute game, so to speak, to have to enforce, but before enforcing, you have to interpret it correctly before you apply it.
Exactly.
So therefore, in a nutshell, it is primarily to ensure that the laws of the games are enforced in accordance with FIFA.
Right, impartially, of course.
Definitely.
And do you ever feel like after a game that, like us players, after the game, oh, I could have done a little better? Do you ever feel that way?
Of course. You will always have games where you make calls that maybe controversial calls, and when you do your introspection, you'll realize that, hey, I was wrong. I mean, a referee really hates to say that he was wrong, but then when you are honest with yourself, I think that's the way you learn and you develop, is when you can do an honest introspection and say, well, okay, I made a mistake. I did a disservice to the game, and there is always an opportunity, your next game, and you try to improve, and the best referee is the one who makes minimum mistakes, and his mistakes does not alter the result of the game.
But how about while the game is going on? Right after you make the call, you say, oh, I missed that one. And you try to make up
for
that call?
You don't make up, you should make up, as I would say. Sometimes you as a referee, I awarded penalties already, and penalties were a bit dubious after you award, you say, oh, shucks, and you're hoping that the penalty doesn't score. I'm being honest. You're hoping that the penalty doesn't score, and sometimes, most instances, it does not score. You say, praise God, there is a God.
but really, would you make the same call on the other side to even it up?
You know, to add to what Breezen is saying,
Yeah.
good, as one of the assessors in the country here,
Right.
and very soon, as Breezen quite correctly said, he's going to be one of our assessors too. As a matter of fact, his name is already on the program to be one of the assessors. Is that the assessors are there, like in the games this evening, the Super League games, there will be assessors on them. The assessor is there basically to assist the referee, to identify, to recognize strengths as well as areas for improvement, so that he or she will be in a better position to officiate the next game in a better way. However, any amount of assessor could be available and be looking at you officiating. But as Breezen quite correctly said, you have to be, the individual is the best assessor. Why? Because sometimes even persons who are officially appointed as assessors can miss some things in the game. But you being true to yourself, as Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true. You need to ask yourself, did I make a correct call here? But even as a further follow-up on that, is that you have to referee for the moment. Meaning that if you make a decision at this precise minute, the 16th minute of the game, then you cannot afford to say, well, in the 18th or 19th or 20th minute, I'm going to now find something to equate that. No, it doesn't work that way. It meant that you have already done that, and you have to pass that. Now, the only way, for example, that you could maybe do something to rectify it, if having discovered that you have made a mistake and you haven't restarted the game, then you can change your decision, which means if, for example, you're pointing this direction and it ought to have gone the other way,
You change that.
if you change that before restarting the game, all right, officially with the whistle, then you can change it. Otherwise than that, as indicated, and I want to share with you and the public at large, the acronym of the SEE.
Okay.
C, SEE, and the S is for safety. Safety of the entire environment in which you're playing. Safety to ensure that the proper equipment is even worn by the players.
Players, right?
Shin guards,
Player
etc.
safety, right?
E for first E we could say is equality, and this will now in any way nullify where a referee will feel he or she must try to make up for a mistake he or she would have made. No, certainly not.
Okay.
It means if you see it as it is for team A, then you need to also do the same thing for team B. Why? Simply because of the fact by doing that, you got a lot more respect out of the players. You are, as an individual, realize that you're doing the best that you can do as far as your refereeing is concerned. And you're open also for improvement because you know you're giving it your best at that point in time. And the other E out of the SEE is enjoyment of the game. So, as a follow-up of that now, in the law book, FIFA's law book, it states that a referee must not blow the whistle, as Brizan will attest to, for trifling offenses. Why? Because it brings annoyance to those who are viewing it. This constant blowing of the whistle,
Right.
as if you are the carnival character.
The,
Trifling or doubtful
the
breaches.
devil or the rubber or
Yes,
whatever, yeah?
You know, your constant blowing of the whistle, it really brings annoyance to the viewing public, and even and more so to the players. It brings on anxiety, tension unnecessarily. So you blow for that which is necessary, so that you could be the person who is recognized the least on the field of play. You know, you don't go outside there and say, this is my game. Referees don't say it's my game. You came and met the game, and you will leave the game because the game is for the world. Yes?
You're right. I remember playing, and the referee is all over the place and doing all the wrong things or the right things, whatever. But I always say the fans didn't come to see the referee the game. They come to see the game, the players play. And you're right.
Let me just interject here by giving an illustration. A referee who is so much caught up on himself, and I've seen it happen, for example, in Mexico where I was. He blew the whistle, and as he blew the whistle, rather than point the direction of where the kick is supposed to do, he was fixing his hair. So he was actually more concerned about his image.
Right.
So what persons arrived at is that this guy is just about himself.
About himself, right.
Now also a referee who will want to gesticulate for every foul he blows for.
Right.
And to demonstrate by maybe pulling of the jersey or maybe kicking. What about if, for example, a player was to use a bicycle kick and foul somebody? Would you also demonstrate a bicycle kick too? So, you know, we have to be mindful of not being too noticeable.
Right.
And as you say, the game is about the players, and the referees are there just there to serve the game.
That's right. When I go as a player, and as players, we go out to impress our fans, our coaches, our teammates, or whatever, whoever else we need to impress, our families. As a referee, who are you trying to impress? Or are you trying to impress anybody when you call a game?
I mean, when I was an active referee, you will try to impress yourself. It sounds strange, but you will try to impress yourself. And by so doing, when I say impress yourself, you referee the game as you ought to, as you would call.
Right.
You call the game as you ought to. As Marie said, safety, you make sure there's safety, equality, enjoyment, and once those three components are met, at the end of the day, the assessor is pleased. The players may back at you during the game, but after the game, if the respect is full respect for you. I have experienced it over and over. They back at you during the game, but after the game, full respect. Mr. Brizan, good game, and so on. Even spectators, they yell at you when you stand, and after the game, no disrespect.
As long as you accomplish what you went on.
Once you accomplish what.
But you know, even with what Brizan is saying too, it comes like a classroom with students.
Right.
They always try to put the teacher to the test.
Right.
So they'll be testing you day 1, day 2, day 3 to see what you're made of. They metal you. What you're going to tolerate and what you're not going to tolerate. It's the same thing for players. They test you even before the game starts.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important that when referees arrive at a venue, that they look the part, they look professional, the way they dress, the way they carry out themselves, even the checking the feel of play and the appurtenances before the game, those players who are looking on will recognize, okay, this guy is about business. You warm up, not inside the dressing room, but you try and go and warm up on the field of play, exactly where the players will be playing and exactly where they are warming up to. So it gives you a level A. Okay, he or she is taking this thing serious too. So even if they try to test you and you remain strong, as I know Grizan has done over a number of years, and you remain firm and you're very decisive, very confident, not overconfident, but confident enough to send that message across, after a while they will realize what you're made of. So you're standing on principles.
Okay, viewers, lots more to come. After the break, we will talk about, have these referees ever been intimidated by a player or a team? We'll be right back after the break.
Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited offers solutions to your immediate and future potential problem areas by providing you with a qualified team of safety consultants. Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited, building a reputation on quality and value since 1999. Located 23 Todd Street, San Fernando, Trinidad. Phone 868-657-1534 or 868-788-6955. worldwidesafety@yahoo.com.
Be viewing on Monday at 8 p.m. as host Steve David speaks with the president of the TTFA, Raymond Timke, and General Secretary Sheldon Phillips on matters of football at the TTFA, right here on Field of Dreams. Don't miss it.
Okay, viewers, welcome back. You're watching Field of Dreams on Axe Television Network. Before the break, my question was going to be to the two referees. Have you ever been intimidated by a team or a player?
Yes. Actually, on any given day, you will find players or teams that basically want to get every call for them, but it doesn't work that way because the referee has to call it as he sees it. I remember a particular game in the Queen's Park Oval. Queen's Park Oval football team versus Maple 15 years ago. One of the players, I wouldn't call the name because that's not necessary. The issue is important. I made a decision which I felt was a correct one based on my interpretation and application of the laws of the game, but in this case, the offside. And he looked in my direction and he spat. Maybe just about 15 meters away, but he spat.
Right.
The referee, I must say, I was very pleased that the referee issued a yellow card,
Right.
cautioning him for that unsporting act. But his spitting in my direction was to show me I am disgusted,
Right.
I'm annoyed,
Right.
and I want to scare you by using that tactic.
Right.
Yes?
Did that work?
No, it didn't work.
Okay, so you
Because
didn't
I
get
called all
intimidated.
the other offsides as I saw it. But his
Right.
attempt was to intimidate.
Intimidate you.
Yes.
What about you, Rizan?
I don't think I was ever intimidated by players really, but what happened is that they will tend to stretch your tolerance. I'm going to use that word. They stretch your tolerance. Some of them you have to speak to them more than is required. I won't call any names again, but like teams in the Pro League and stuff, some players in the Pro League, and I talk to them a lot to calm them and stuff. Internationally now, Jamaica, once you do a game with Jamaica, they tend to be very physical, and if you're weak, they will intimidate you. But to say if I was ever intimidated by any team or players, no. Maybe challenged, but not intimidated.
And you never, for both of you guys never fear for your safety or anything while you're calling a game?
I would have said my first exposure and experience in El Salvador in 1994, my first international appointment, that under 17 CONCACAF. Unlike Trinidad and Tobago, where you have spectators that will maybe to a point of maybe 300, 400, 500, you had almost about, what, 25,000 people in the stands. And they were screaming hysterically. You know how passionate
Right.
these Central Americans can.
Right.
But even outside of that, or in addition to it, they were throwing firecrackers around, and it was coming all alongside the touch lines. And that in itself was a bit frightening, because, I mean, one of it striking you can obviously do some hurt or damage. So then the game had to come to a standstill. It had to be addressed, and then it continued. Now, if we look even at the Gold Cup recently, when Trinidad and Tobago played Mexico, and Jovan Jones was about to take the corner.
Yes, with all the
You see, and I was going to mention that about the Mexican teams. In this case, wasn't the team or the spectators, but they all work in harmony,
right.
right? And by throwing those missiles, it is very injurious, or dangerous, I should say, to the player, all right? Obviously, you don't have to have any unauthorized object on the field of play. And that is all about intimidating. So the Mexicans in particular, all right, out of the Central American countries, because of the exposure, the experience, but more importantly too because of how they view football in that very passionate way and sometimes uncontrollable, they can make attempts to intimidate the match officials. But even at the FIFA level, I could clearly remember us doing psychological sessions with the referees. In Germany, I remember this being done, where you had a lot of noise at various levels being thrown at or exposed the referee state. And while that was being done, certain things were being said by the instructors, and they needed to remember what were being said. So it means that you had to focus in spite of the many distractions that you were experiencing there.
What about you? Any?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned earlier, you know, Jamaica, it's a very challenging environment when you referee at what they call the office, the national stadium.
Right.
You walk out to Jamaica, you walk out to the stadium, it's a sea of yellow you see. As against in Trinidad, you see a sea of red. You see a sea of yellow, and then while you're refereeing, you might be smelling something in the stands, and you know exactly what you're smelling. I mean, you know, but it's not intimidating, but you have to be strong. And these things help you to stay focused, because you know the crowd, they are supporting your team. It helps you as an official to be more focused. So it has worked for me in terms of keeping me more focused and giving the game what it deserves.
You don't think because it's Jamaica, 5 murders a day, and all of that has nothing to do with how you felt about Jamaica?
No, because whenever I went to Jamaica, I was afforded very, very good treatment. They were very, very hospitable. So there was never a case where my safety was compromised or so. So it was never that. It was
What's
never
on
that.
the field? Okay, as a player, I know it's important for us to know the players we come up against. Is it important for you guys to know players that when you go into call a game?
I would say yes. As a matter of fact, I feel the refereeing fraternity, and we have done it in the past, and I trust, hope, and pray that we continue to do it, that as a referee, the referee's body should always expose its referees to the other stakeholders in the game, which means that give the referees an opportunity to see the administrative aspect, the managerial aspect, how the physio also has to address issues on the field of play, how the coaches, the tactical approaches that coaches have to take. So on any given day, I believe that it could only be a plus for the referee to be exposed to the different elements in the game, because it can only make him or her a better referee.
Noted for bad, aggressive play, would you, like, as a referee, keep an eye on him? Or would you pay more attention? Or did you get special attention?
I'm glad you asked that. What has worked for me is, for example, I could call the player name here, Guantanamo Blanco from Mexico. I remember doing a game, Mexico-Costa Rica, World Cup qualifier in Costa Rica. And everybody knows once Costa Rica and Mexico meet at any level, it's a war.
Blood and sand.
What I did before the game, I went across to him and said, not for, of course, any other player to hear or anything, I went across to him and say, good day. I say, do you know that you are a very good player? Don't worry, I'll protect you. That was it. Blanco gave no trouble in that game. Now, Blanco is a player who can destroy your game. And you have to pick out those players who they could destroy your game because they're very antagonistic and stuff. Sometimes it just, the referee, all the referee has to do is to give them a quiet word. Many players know that, hey, I'm for you. And in fact, in that game, the first hard tackle that came at him from a Costa Rican player, bang, the Costa Rican player was cautioned. So when Blanco saw that, and remember what I told him in the tunnel, it was smooth sailing after that.
Well, he thought he had you in his back pocket. He thought, well, oh Lord, the referee's here to protect him.
Well,
which is true.
It's not a matter of I have him in his back pocket. It's a matter of I'm protecting him. I'm not allowing him to get away with murder, as they say.
Right.
But I recognize that he's the most talented player on the team, and but I also recognize that he can destroy my game if I don't work on his psyche.
Right.
And that's what I did.
And therefore, as a follow-up there, what Breezen did, and successfully did it, was use reverse psychology.
Reverse psychology, right.
He knew fully well that in case there's a troublemaker, just like in a classroom, a teacher and student, the student who is given trouble literally wants attention.
Yeah.
So you have to find some way or the other to validate, not the wrongdoing, but to validate them, to give them a level of reassurance of themselves and the confidence. And therefore, that is what he did with Blanco. Blanco knew fully well, and that is one of the things even with referees. Referees are asked to protect these skillful players.
Right.
Van Basten had to finish off his playing career at an early stage because of the constant tackle from behind.
Yeah.
And by the way, that is why that particular aspect of the game has been strongly now endorsed by FIFA about the tackling from behind, because
Serious foul play.
it seriously destroyed him. So coming back to that particular aspect about a player who, in one way or the other, could be troublesome on the field of play, you want to get him on your side, which means you want to get him to respect the calls that you're going to make. However, what you don't want is a referee who arrives at the game and even before the toss is taken, or when the toss is being taken at the center of the field, say, this is my game.
Right.
And you gave trouble the last time, so you better watch out. No, what you're literally doing now is chastising publicly that player. So rather than get his support, you will literally be getting the adversity, and antagonism and confrontation from him. Literally what you don't want is what you're going to get, because he's going to now rock back and say, all right, this is how you're going to deal with me. And therefore, when a referee goes to a game, even though he or she may have given a red card to a player in a match 2, 3, 4 matches before, you cannot afford to be judging that player in the next match. You're starting that player off on a clean slate.
Yes.
However, not forgetting that this player is a player that you'll have to keep a close eye on, providing if he or she is acting abnormally on the field of play, you'll have to address it. But reverse psychology, getting the player on your side by using the humane approach, is a lot better than being dictatorial and authoritative.
So players who comes with a reputation, we keep an eye on, one eye on, and see if we can keep them controlled, so the rest of the game could be in a controlled manner.
What I used to also do with the two captains, speak to them separately, of course. I'll walk across to, let's say, captain of A team,
Right.
team A. I'll say good afternoon. I say, don't worry, I'll control your play. I'll protect your players. Help me control them. I'll tell you both captains that.
Right.
Once you do that again, reverse psychology, the captain helps you to control the players on the field, which of course facilitates the game. And it has worked for me. And I'm sure it could work for other referees if they try it.
All right, let's talk about calls on the game. Which are the ones that's the most difficult? Or are there any difficult calls that you have to make? For example, offsides, pushing, tripping, whatever.
I remember in Spain one year, As a matter of fact, it was in 2005 we were there, the instructors, and we started off in the morning, went into the evening after taking a lunch break, and took another break and went on to the night time. That went on for 3 days straight. We were all there trying to determine, when we look at match clippings on incidents, whether or not, was this a foul?
Right.
Was this a foul, only a foul with no card? Was this a foul that deserves a yellow card?
Right.
And was this a foul that deserves a red card? So 4 categories. No foul, foul alone, straight direct kick,
Yellow
foul
card.
with a yellow card,
Foul
foul
with
with a red card.
Right.
And it was extremely challenging and difficult for us, coming from different parts of the world, to come to a consensus,
Right.
even as the instructors.
Right.
And on most occasions, we did eventually agree. But there were times that we didn't fully agree, but we had to go with the majority. So you're going to find a situation, and what we discover is that, especially tackles in particular, being able to determine, and that's why the socks of the players are so important, in addition to your other part of your attire. Because if 2 players were supposed to wear, an attacker or 1 player from one team and another team, and they're wearing the same color socks, you're usually challenged with your feet. And what helps is that if you are wearing a different color socks, that helps the referee to be able to determine the one who may be using illegitimate or illegal ways, and therefore that might be the player committing the foul based on various considerations, the distance, where the ball is at the point in time, also consideration to the intensity and the speed and the pace by which you're tackling. So I would say tackles, but also not in any way discarding the other areas. Why? Because as we now are into 2015, and even before that, a few years ago, we have what development into football now, professional fouls. So you have a guy who knows fully well. You are the assistant referee on that side. And if I was to hold the guy on this side,
Right.
you wouldn't see. The referee will have to try and angle himself in a position to see.
Right.
Good? If I handle the ball here, you would hardly be able to see it. So then you have a lot of the professional fouls cropping up. So what do we ask the referees to do? A, let us follow what you call the ABC approach, and it will help to a certain extent to be able to detect the fouls. A, angle. Get at an angle where you can actually see the foul being committed. B, you must be able to see where the ball is, because they're going to be challenging for the ball. And C, close enough to make a creditable
Cool.
decision based on the call you're making.
Right. You agree?
Fully. And I'll also add to him the penalty. The penalty call is a very, very difficult call to make in a game
Right.
sometimes, because you have to look at something that is called simulation now, where guys are appearing to be fouled. And if you do game with Central American teams in particular, you look out for that. That's something you look out for. So in your match preparation now, you have to look closely, because you know they'll try it early in the game to test you, as he will say, they'll try to test you. And you pick it up early and you sanction it with a yellow card and
Done.
cut it out. But that penalty kick, the penalty call is a very crucial call, because you saw in the Gold Cup, the game with, was it Panama, Mexico,
Mexico.
where the referee gave a penalty kick. And it was the incorrect call, as everybody found out later on. It was the incorrect call. But that is a serious decision in a game, because a penalty is almost a goal. It's almost a sure goal once you award a penalty. So you have to be very careful not to award incorrectly. So that's one of the challenging decisions in officiating, that penalty kick, awarding it or not.
And what I think was bad about that as well was the time of the game. This was in the overtime.
Yeah, was.
A minute to go. Why are you going to give that? Why are you going to give that as a referee?
I'll tell you something, Steve. What happened is that an excellent referee is one who understands the letter of the law.
The spirit.
An extraordinary referee is one who could master the spirit of the law.
Right.
So sometimes if you follow the letter of the law, then you will call almost any and everything. But there comes a time you have to allow the spirit of the law to take over, because that is the one that will really be able to execute your interpretation and application of the law. But also to add to what Breezen said about the simulation, while all the other infringements are in one way or the other, one player against another player, simulation is the only one that is an infringement or perceived infringement to fool or deceive the referee.
Okay, having said that, we're going to take a break at this point. And when we come back, we would get into some rules of the game.
Good.
We'll be right back.
Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited offers solutions to your immediate and future potential problem areas by providing you with a qualified team of safety consultants. Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited, building a reputation on quality and value since 1999. Located 23 Todd Street, San Fernando, Trinidad. Phone 868-657-1534 or 868-788-6955. worldwidesafety@yahoo.com.
Be viewing on Monday at 8 p.m. as host Steve David speaks with the president of the TTFA, Raymond Timke, and General Secretary Sheldon Phillips on matters of football at the TTFA, right here on Field of Dreams. Don't miss it.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. You're tuned into Axe Television Network. This is Field of Dreams. And before the break, we said we're going to come back with the rules of the game. I got two ex-FIFA referees who is going to help us with the rules of the game. It's changed so much, and so many things have changed in the game, and a lot of players play this game and don't understand a lot of the rules of the game. So, guys, tell me about some rules of the game, that's the changes, and whether it's for the good or the bad of the game or whatever.
Well, first and foremost, there are 17 laws in the law book. You have what you call the IFAB board, International Football Association board, where you have 4 members from FIFA and the other 4 is from Britain. That's Scotland, Wales, Ireland, and England. They sit and they agree upon the laws of the game. They also attend to any amendments on the laws of the game. So what we have had over the years, the 17 laws remain intact, but we have had adjustments, amendments, if and when necessary, based on maybe the style of play, etc. And the offside has been one of them that has been changed here and there, simply because of the fact to try and bring an easier understanding to Jane and John public, and also to allow both, and more importantly, the attacking team, in this case, to score goals, because the game of football, the glory about it, the excitement about it is in scoring goals, and also magnificent saves.
Tell the viewers what's an offside.
The offside is that in which a player standing up in an offside position is when he is nearer to the opponent's goal line than the ball and the second to last opponent. Meaning that he is nearer to the opponent's goal line, so that means he's ahead of the ball, and he's also ahead of the second to last opponent.
So the goalkeeper is one.
Yes, so the goalkeeper is the only person,
right.
So he's nearer to the goalkeeper.
Right.
All right? That means he is standing up in an offside position. But as the law categorically and clearly states, not necessarily standing up in an offside position deems the player offside, except that said player who is standing up in that offside position at the precise moment a ball is played from a member of his own team,
right,
If he tries to play the ball, then he's interfering with play.
Right.
That means if he's moving towards that ball,
Gotcha.
then he's interfering with play. If he also, in an offside position, originally, and the ball is played at that precise moment, if he challenges a defender and coming from an offside position, then he's deemed as interfering with the opponent.
Right.
And the third and final one where he'd be penalized on is if originally standing up in that offside position, a shot is taken by his own teammate and it negotiates off the crossbar, the post, or the goalkeeper, and he plays it immediately, then he is now gaining an advantage. Outside of that, he's not to be penalized for being offside. Now, interestingly enough, as you talk about that, look at it. There are some players, and this is very sad, but it is true.
Right.
I would want to believe that all national teams, not only of Trinidad and Tobago, but throughout the world, and not only national teams, but as long as you're playing the game of football, how could you be playing the game of football and not have a basic understanding of the laws of the game?
True.
So you have some players, even at the national level. A referee, as in the case of Brizan, may raise his hand like that, which we know is an indirect free kick signal.
Right.
And a player will ask, ref, what is that?
Well, yeah.
Good. So we have situation in which players need to understand, and here is where a knowledgeable player will always exploit or take advantage over a player that lacks knowledge.
Right.
He stands up in an offside position, but the game is being restarted from a goal kick, and you hear a defender saying, leave him, he's in an offside position. You cannot be offside from a goal kick.
Right.
Just like you cannot be offside from a
Good
throw-in
ball, yes.
or a corner kick.
Right.
So you have now an attacker who is knowledgeable, will deliberately go in an offside position,
Right.
providing now that the game is in progress, but it's from a goal kick,
Right.
as in that case. Yeah.
I'll touch on three areas quickly, where, from my experience, that players, even in Pro League, they have sort of been at sea. One is with a simple thing like player's equipment. Once a player leaves the field of play to correct his equipment, he can't return onto the field of play unless there's a stoppage in the game.
Right.
So you have some players leaving the field of play to fix a boot, and you have coaches shouting out, the referee is ready to return, but the game is still in play. So that's one thing I feel that players should be aware of, coaches should be aware of. Secondly, all kicks within the penalty area, the ball must come out of the penalty area and enter the field of play to be in play. So you have players saying, but referee, it was not a goal kick. In fact, they use the word back kick, which is not a term in the law. That's a layman term.
Yeah.
They say, but referee, it's not a goal kick. But all kicks, free kicks, all kicks within the penalty area, the ball must come out of the penalty area and enter the field of play for the ball to be in play. And the third thing, I did this with Sky FC a few days ago, where, as we all know, it's an offense if a goalkeeper receives a ball from a member of his own team from a pass, this with his foot. He can't hold the ball if he receives a ball from one of his teammates, right? From a pass, a kick. What players have done years ago, they flick up the ball, and head it towards the goalkeeper. That is an offense. They were surprised. I say because what is the guy doing? He's circumventing both the law, the text, and the spirit of the game.
Right.
So he has to be cautioned.
Right.
They were amazed.
Right.
And I'm sure a lot of players don't know that is an offense. It happened to me twice in my career. One when I was a very young referee and I missed it.
Right.
And another time I went to St. Vincent to do a friendly international and it happened again. This time I got it right.
Right. So you call
I called the indirect free kick. And I called the indirect free kick from where he flicked the ball and he was issued a yellow card. The coach didn't understand, but after the game when I explained it to him, he said, okay, Brizan, I accept it.
What is the job or the requirements of the fourth referee? I mean, fourth official.
The fourth referee is actually a reserve referee.
Okay.
All right. So in the event, let's say the main referee, and by the way, there are 4 persons.
4 officials.
There are actually 5.
5, okay.
At the FIFA level, in World Cup, there are 5.
Okay.
There's a history behind that when it emanated out of an injury of an assistant referee on the line in Japan in the FIFA Club World Cup. Sorry, the FIFA Club, yes, World Cup there in 2005. And then you had to take a referee from the stands who came just to look at the game. He was taken from there. Clothes were given to him, and he came on. Now, by the way, in Japan at that time, it was snowing.
Right.
So it was minus 15.
Right.
Even though the assistant referee had warmed up properly, he got a hamstring injury in the 30th minute.
Okay.
And therefore now he struggled through until the 45th minute of the first half. Second half, the 4th official, who was the reserve referee, was asked to take up the
call it.
flag
Okay.
as an assistant referee. So assistant referee number 2 came across as assistant referee number 1.
Right.
And the 4th official, who was the referee in this case, now took up the flag, and the one who came from the stands was now the 4th official.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, to know that the guy who was the referee from England, he was unorthodox in his flag technique and flag mechanism, but he got the offside decisions correct.
Right.
And when it was asked, well, when was the last time you have done an assistant referee role back in your country, he said 15 years ago.
Wow.
So it's, it's
rules,
really necessary for all the referees to avail themselves of the various roles. As the main referee, act as an assistant referee, sometimes as a 4th official. So what happened now, since 2006, from that World Cup in Germany that we qualified for TNT, there's an assistant referee now in a cubicle who sits there and views the entire match. And if there is an injury by any one of the 2 ARs, he or she replaces that person.
Okay.
Just like the 4th official is waiting. His job is primarily to do the administrative work. Before the game, you deal with the team list, etc. like that. You act as a representative when you go to the dressing rooms on behalf of your other colleagues. You take the goal scorers, persons who are cautioned, you use the substitution board, etc. like that.
Right.
So you are there basically to do primarily the administrative part and also to control the benches in the technical area.
Neil, we as players, during the week, we work on our skill or technique, play games, whatever, to prepare for a game. What do you do to prepare for a game?
Well, as
a referee,
yeah,
or not
yeah,
you,
yeah.
Referees.
Yeah,
What does
when I
referees
was an
do?
active referee, I devoted about 5 days for the week for actually refereeing. So I would train about 3 days for the week by myself. Then they will have corporate training where we train as a group. That's twice per week. So that's 5 days already that you have dedicated for
physical training.
Yeah, physical and technical.
Okay.
And then your match day. So that's 6 days. So I would do like a heavy day, like let's say I'm preparing for a game on a Friday. We can, maybe Monday or Tuesday, that will be my hardest day. That will be a very difficult training day. Wednesday might be an easy day. Then Thursday is match preparation day for the game.
What's training for you? Like soccer players, we footballers, we play with the ball, right?
Okay.
We do that. What is that training?
Basically,
Shuttle runs, whatever?
yeah, basically my training, refereeing training, my training is really recovery work.
Right.
So you run, rest over various distances. And FIFA has a training program outlined now where you actually train using the field of play. So we use the dimensions of the field. We may do the perimeter of the field. You may do the perimeter of the field, say 10 times, and you may rest for a minute each time. When you do the perimeter at what we call the 150 pace. And you may do that 10 times and say rest for 1 minute in between each interval. And that might be a difficult day's work on a difficult day.
And that's how you prepare.
Yeah, on a match preparation day now, your workout will be a shorter duration. It'll be more intense, but it'll be more match specific.
Right.
So you'll be doing like movements you'll make on the field, running forward, backwards, gliding. You may do some what we call dummy refereeing as well. You go on the field with a whistle and you actually mimic situation on the field.
Right, exactly.
So what you do, you choreograph certain situations on the field, and you blow for penalty and stuff, and you pick up your position just as though you are refereeing a game. So you
Make sure your signals are right. and stuff.
signals are right and stuff like that.
Same
Having said that,
Yeah.
Breezan and Steve, what I recognize is that a fit referee, and Breezan has been quite modest, because Breezan has been one of the fittest referees that we have in this country and also in the Caribbean. I can't remember. I don't think he has it on record. He has never failed any fitness test, because he has really made that concerted effort in a very professional way
Right.
to follow a fitness regime. And remember, you also talk about the technical training too. But he has always impressed us. I mean, I've worked with him, right? Active as a referee and also as an instructor. He has done well technically, and also one of the fitness guys even in the Gold Cup in the USA, etc. like that. But so much so now that we have what FIFA has, the present fitness test, outside of agility, which is one of the movements that referees do a lot of, because you have to be able to change your direction ever so often, just like players. We have the interval test. There's a lot of sprinting, but assistant referees on the line sprint a lot more than the referee. So therefore, the assistant referee has to sprint a 40-meter distance faster. For example, a FIFA assistant referee has to cover the 40 meters in 6 seconds, while a FIFA referee will have to cover it in 6.20 seconds. Having said that too, there's the interval run. In this case now, because a referee does more running than an assistant referee, he has to run a faster time, which is the 150. He has to run it in 30 seconds and recover in 35 seconds.
That's for qualification to
Yes.
be a FIFA referee.
Yes. And if you want to be appointed for tournaments. While the assistant referee has to run the same 150 in 30 seconds, but has 5 seconds more, which is 40 seconds to recover. Why? Because the referee does a lot more running in the middle of the field of play. And when you really look at it, it's simply because in refereeing, the fitness test correlates with it, because you have a lot of what? Running and recovery and change of direction.
Okay, we're running out of time, and I want to let you guys know, referees, you guys are the most misunderstood, the most hated, the most misjudged, and the most important. So what do you have to say in a minute for each of you to the public that you want to say to them? To be whatever.
What I will say is that the laws of the game are online. It's on FIFA.com. You go to FIFA.com and you can download it, and you can read and become more encouraged with the laws of the game. And understand that we are not your enemies. We are here to help the game. We may make mistakes sometimes, but at the end of the day, we are here to facilitate the game. As Mariri said, we are servants of the game. We are here to serve football, and we love the game. And we are an important part of the game. The game is not about us. We want to be as invisible as possible, yet to allow the game to flow with as little interference as possible. So at the end of the day, we have a safe environment, we have an equal environment, and we have an enjoyable environment.
And therefore, to add to what Breezan is saying, is that a game cannot play unless you have referees.
Right.
But we want to follow our word R-E-S-P-E-C-T, respect. And in the same way, managers, coaches, trainers, players, medics, all other stakeholders need and also appreciate the respect. Then therefore the referees need to be respected for their roles that they perform, which is a very integral part in the whole image and the product, which is football.
All right. I appreciate you guys so much. I thank you so much for being here and sharing all this information to the viewers. Viewers, I thank you for letting us into your homes to bring this show. We hope you enjoy it. I want to thank Axe Television Network as well for giving us the opportunity to bring the show to you. Like I said to you guys, I hope this has helped the public to come closer to you guys and to understand what you go through, and to try to be better when they speak to you or when they think about you, as, about the game of football and how you have to do your jobs. Viewers, thank you so much. Again, don't forget you can look us up on fieldofdreamstt@gmail.com. That's our email address. And also you can also visit us on Facebook. We have come to the end of the show. Go in peace. Thank you for watching. Good night. I'll see you guys next week.